Hello. This will be a demonstration of Proposition 22 from Book 9 of Euclid's Elements, which says that the sum of an even number of odd numbers is also even. All we're given is an even number of odd numbers. So we have four numbers in this case, AB, BC, CD, and DE, all of which are odd numbers. And what we want to prove is that their sum, which is the number AE, is also an even number. Because our four given numbers, AB, BC, CD, and DE, because all of them are odd, if we subtract a unit from them, definition 7.7 tells us that we will get an even number. For we know that an odd number is always one off from an even number. So if we subtract a unit from our odd numbers A, B, B, C, C, D, and D, E, we will end up with even numbers. And we know from the previous proposition 9.21 that if we add all of these even remainders up, we will get an even number, for the sum of even numbers is always an even number. But we also know that the number of units which we subtracted from our given numbers will also be an even number, for we were given an even number of numbers. So taking a unit away from each of them will result in an even number of units, which of course means that the sum of these units is also an even number, which means if we add these back together, the sum of the remainders from the previous step and the sum of the units which we subtracted, both of which are even numbers, then their sum, which is the number AE, will also be an even number, again according to proposition 9.21, because we just added some even numbers together, so we know that that sum, which is the number AE in this case, will be even. And this is what we set out to prove, that AE is even. So having proven that, we are therefore done with the proposition, therefore, etc., QED. This one, at least in my opinion, is a little harder to follow along, so I'll give an example to illuminate this. Say we have an even number of odd numbers, 3, 5, 7, and 9. Now I hope all of you agree that 3, 5, 7, and 9, all of those are odd numbers. Furthermore, we have an even number of them. We have 4 of them in this case, but this would just as easily work if we only had 2, or 6, or 24 odd numbers. The proof would still work. Now, what we want to prove is that their sum, which in this case is the number 24, is an even number. Now, at a first glance, it is just kind of obvious that their sum, 24, is an even number, but just to help illuminate how the logic of the proposition works, I'll keep going. Now, each of these numbers, 3, 5, 7, and 9, because they are odd numbers, we know that they are one away from an even number, or they are one more than an even number specifically. 3 is equal to 2 plus 1. 5 is equal to 4 plus 1. 7 is equal to 6 plus 1. And 9 is equal to 8 plus 1. So you see that each of our numbers, 3, 5, 7, and 9, are one more than an even number. So if we add these numbers here, this number plus this number plus this number plus this number, 2 plus 4 plus 6 plus 8, if we add those together, well, we know from proposition 9.21, because each of those are even numbers, we know that their sum, which is the number 20 in this case, is also an even number. So this right here is an even number. But if we also add all of these remaining ones, or these remaining units, we notice that we'll always have an even number of them, because we started with an even number of odd numbers. So the remaining units will also be even in multitude. So if we add these units together, because there's an even number of them, we know that their sum will also be an even number. It's just kind of obvious. In this case, it'll be 4 because we have 4 ones left over, and that's an even number. So if we add these two even numbers, 20 and 4 together, we'll get the number 24 like that. Their sum is 24. But again, we know from proposition 9.21 that if we add even numbers together, the sum will also be even. so that 20 plus 4 will be an even number as well, so that 24 is itself an even number. And that's how this proposition works. You subtract away the units, you add the even remainders, you add the even number of units, and then you add those back together to get your whole, and what you'll get will be an even number. That's all I've got to say about this proposition. I hope this demonstration has helped. With that said, I'll end the video here and move on to proposition 923.